Hello. Welcome, if anyone is joining us, to another Conversations in Quarantine here in the lovely sunny Durham. Wish to get the barbecues out. Alas, do not have an outside area. But I hope everyone is well. If anyone is joining us today, welcome to the chat. We are here with the fabulous Ugly Bucket team. So thank you so much for joining us. Really excited to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolute pleasure, absolute pleasure. Can we go around everyone's name so we can kind of, for our fabulous listeners?
I'm Grace. Hello.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Jess.
Amazing, amazing. What's the weather like where you guys are? Because it's very sunny here. It's really nice.
Stunning.
Hot.
Gorgeous. We have tans. Oh yeah.
Burn.
Actually, that does look like burn.
Road tans.
Very nice. Yeah, lovely.
Show off.
Oh, that is
gorgeous.
I feel so pale, like compared to you. Like actually, my background is just like ghostly ring radiating.
I don't have an in between. I just have like pink / red or.
Adam's a very pink.
You're a very pink person.
I am pink. Yeah, I'm like I'm a blusher.
It's one of our favourite things
So my
about
doctor
you, Adam.
says.
And English glows. That's what they say, isn't it? So guys, how is quarantine treating you guys? How's lockdown? Anything? How's it all going?
Ups and downs.
Yeah. Today is an up.
Yeah, the weather is good today.
Yeah.
But definitely good days and bad days.
You just ride each wave is how we've been thinking about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But we're lucky to be together. We feel because we live in a big house with lots of people, so we feel really lucky because there's always someone to chat with. But I don't know. How about you guys on your own?
Do you ever like worry the opposite, like you're gonna murder each other eventually?
Those are the bad days. I think.
Rachel like nodded, and Grace was like.
I was like, no, it's great. Whereas I'm like, that's funny. No, it's no, I think those are the days that are bad in my eyes. I'm too many people in this house. But then other days I'm like, thank God I have people, which I think is the better one. What about you?
Yeah, me and Jack being stuck on our own is a bit crazy because we have like really good. I'm like, this is great. It's like paradise, and then there's some days where it's like we need to stay in separate rooms today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite intense. Is there anything that's keeping you sane? You guys got any like dogs or cats? I mean, you say you've got each other.
I wish.
Oh my God.
I wish. I tried to get a hamster weeks ago.
Yeah.
But because it was when everything went quiet and I wanted a hamster for a long time. But then all of a sudden I had the time to do everything. So I got the cage and it was all ready. And then went to the pet shop because this was before lockdown and everything. And went to the pet shop and they weren't. They're not selling them. They're not selling any pets during this whole situation.
Before the lockdown.
It was before. I think it was when we were all social distancing, but there wasn't. We weren't in lockdown, and so I just couldn't get the hamster.
An empty cage. It was such a metaphor.
But yeah, I do really think having an animal I'd love to have an animal around to look after.
I've been doing crochet.
Very nice.
It's very good.
Oh, nice.
What are you making? A hat or a?
It's a sample sheet at the minute because I'm not good. It's literally I'm beginner. I was like, I can't do that, and now I've just got like a little score. It's quite cool.
I've been painting.
Painting?
Wow.
This is my latest.
What is it?
I think it's a
whatever
worm.
you think it is.
I think it's a worm.
Don't forget to look at the bottom corner though.
There's real
I know
there's on it though.
There's mystery.
What's happening here?
I don't know. It's like looking at himself in the mirror here. Like, yeah.
What about you?
So as you can see, we're completely sane.
Totally. I did not dye my hair blue. The ends from boredom. I think I'm going to keep it though.
I love it.
I'm quite obsessed.
Yours went a lot better than mine did. It's fixed now a little bit, but it was very, very orange for a while.
Yeah.
I fixed it with a lot of toner.
It looks good.
I think my friends are terrified because I keep threatening to shave my head off completely, just if I
I
get
need
to.
to do it.
I have a really
now.
like a bit of a breakdown day or like a Britney moment, like I'll just do the whole thing. So I had a towel on my head yesterday. I was on a Zoom call and everyone was freaking out saying, "I've shaved my head." But
Done it,
Adam, if your hair grows really quickly, no one might not be able to know apart from on Zoom calls. Do you know what I mean?
But-
That's true. Yeah.
This is the time.
But look at his
I don't know what I'll
hair,
do.
Adam. Can you give us the full?
I'll get it
full-
out so you know what we're rolling
It's
with.
just gorgeous.
But
He
like,
has locks.
what happened is
Oh.
The switch.
I'm actually now more than ever so grateful that my like hair care strategy is let it grow, because there's so many people complaining about like not being able to get their like bi-weekly haircuts and things. You know, just I don't know, just like lads with hair that's like that long and they're just like, oh, I'm not gonna get a haircut, and so what?
Yeah.
I get to my barber every 3 years, like, you know.
Just toss it back.
Yeah, that's it. Just like a constant L'Oreal advert over here. So
amazing, love it. Well, yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This is really exciting to have you
Thank
here. If anyone listening has got any questions, we're gonna just have a chat, but you're welcome to shoot some in. So if you've got any specific questions about Ugly Bucket as a company, about what's it like running a company or clowning or all of the wonderful things, do feel like you can comment at all in any medium, and we'll try and pick up any questions as we go. So guys, I'm sure our listeners may be aware, but tell us about Ugly Bucket, about where you guys came from as a company, a bit about your ethos, and what is it as a beast?
Okay, so we're a Liverpool-based company, and we're about two and a half years old now. And the company was kind of formed when we graduated from university. Most of us went to John Moores University, but Adam didn't. But Adam and Jess joined us for Good Grief, which was last year. But when we started, when we left university, we kind of really struggled with postgraduate depression and that kind of pressure for everything to kind of fall into place and the kind of expectation with graduating, and as a kind of a way of coping with that, and also trying to stay creative, we just started sneaking into our old uni building in the evening because we knew the rehearsal space wasn't used, and they've got a card now, but it used to just be a code which we knew, so we used to just go in and we can't anymore. The card has ruined it. But we used to go in and for one night a week, we would together, which was verbatim inspired, up with techno music and it was mainly just us doing what felt good for us at the time. I don't think we were trying to follow any specific rules, especially from a clowning perspective. I think now we know much more about clowning, and I've really tried to develop that skill. But when we started, it was mainly just us throwing stuff and seeing what sticked and seeing what felt good and trying things out and just trying to have a laugh ourselves because we were having such a horrible time. And then when we put Boast Junior Blues on for the first time, we charged £1. I think it was £1 for people to come. And it was no set. I think we spent 200 quid. There's no funding. And we put it on, and from then we just kept going with it. It kind of started to snowball, and we eventually we did it for a year on and off, and then went to places we did live was love, and the guys there are amazing, and we put it on at their Stuff Festival. And then a year later, we got funding and developed it into the show it is today. And that's been touring on and off to universities and venues and stuff. So Boast Junior Blues still goes quite strong, I think, because it's got that kind of renewable.
Every year there's graduates, hundreds and thousands of them. So
yeah, but it probably still is our hardest sell, because sometimes I think we're getting there. It's still really hard to try and explain wanted, especially when you're trying to sell it to universities.
Yeah.
When you're saying, oh, we really want to bring this show about postgraduate depression, and a lot of places are like,
But like, why would we want to
We
tell
don't want that.
students that?
So it's still hard. And then from then we did 2 Clowns 1 Cup, which was just a good time.
And fun sex education from like female perspective. That was like 3 of us. And that was, I think it was a bit of like, just had decided.
Say again, Jess, sorry.
Sorry, Stephanie's just saying that 2 Clowns is on Friday. For
I
anyone
was
who's
just about to give that a shout out. Yeah, absolutely. Where is that live,
but-
Jess? How are you sharing that? Is that on YouTube, did you say?
YouTube.
on YouTube. Go on, Rach.
Yeah, it's just YouTube. We're gonna release it at 7 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
Hopefully people tweet along. That'll be really fun. We're gonna maybe do some like little bits and like say what kind of has inspired different bits of the show,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing.
But it's just really
Most of it is just silly, to be honest. I think it's going to be fun.
But then
you will not get wet this
Yeah.
time.
No. But then that again was like we were really pushing the clowning with the music and verbatim. That seemed to be our thing, and then we started to figure out kind of what our brand seemed to be. That it was the way that we give this kind of really strange comedy approach to really difficult topics or topics that people find hard to talk.
Yeah.
So then it's like run at it with such like a really kind of aggressive comedy, I would say.
Yeah.
Like it makes it easier for people to talk about. And then we did Good Grief, which Jess or Adam could talk about.
I'll perform as.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I just had a daft thought then. Like, who's where on your screen, Kate?
So I've got Grace on this side, Jess down here, and then you're here.
So if I want to talk to you, I can just go like this.
And I go like this. Rrr.
If I'm talking to Jess, I'm just like that.
No, other way.
Grace and
Other way.
Rachel
Other way.
over there. You're there.
Yeah.
Grace and Rachel are up here.
Wait.
I don't know. I've just had that idea. What I was going to say. So,
The comedy, yeah?
where's Grace and Rachel? Yeah. So, Jess, if you don't mind, I'll take this one, and then.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, Good Grief is, like Grace was saying, it's all about that comedic clowning approach, and just having a bit of a daft time with heavy topics. So, I think Grace and Rachel decided to go for the heaviest topic, which was death and grief, which is a good one because it's something that everybody has experienced, I think anyway, so it's definitely a wider reach. And yeah, they just wanted to do it bigger, they wanted to do it better, so they told me and Jess, and then we came to an audition. It was really energetic and it was really fun and creative, and yeah, we just hopped on board and we did a residency in Leeds. And we put it all together in 2 weeks. Grace and Rachel had done a lot of the work already, the interviews and the music, and kind of just
With Duncan,
had a good solid framework for it all. And then
Duncan the wizard, the music wizard.
the wizard, yeah.
Yeah.
Duncan's everywhere, by the way, all at once, so you don't need to know which direction he's in.
My brother is a really, really sick musician, so we're just lucky because he's just got on board with projects. He did lots of clues. Then he didn't for 2 Clowns 1 Cup, but we got him back for Good Grief, where it was better because he was actually in the rehearsal room with us, which was so much better.
I get so much done so fast.
But I think it's also really interesting because Good Grief was inspired by we had a friend of ours who lectured us at university that we stayed close with, who passed away in April last year. So it literally the other day, it was the year anniversary. But before he passed away, he asked us if we could make a short comedy piece about death to perform at his memorial service. So then we said yes to that, and when we were going, we were like, "What do you want?" We were like, "What would you like us to do?" And he's like,
"Whatever you want."
I won't see it.
He did stand-up comedy, and that was like a big part of what he lectured and taught was comedy and all that kind of stuff. So he like obviously saw Botion Clues proper took it on board, took us all on board, and was like, "You're all doing great." Gave us that encouragement that you kind of need in the early days.
And he sorted out like the first proper clowning workshops that we went to. Was he like sorted it out and got us on like discounted? Like he was just a really big help and a big supporter. So then
when he was just like, "Do what you want for this 10-minute piece," and we were like, "Okay," did a 10-minute piece that was like a video, and then kind of came into real life. And then when we get together, it just goes boom, 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 boom. Ideas just started growing, and all of a sudden we were like, "There's a full show in this."
And then we applied for funding to do Good Grief, and we didn't get it, but we did it anyway, and that was hard. But it was like it's hard because funding, you plan everything, and we had the residency that Slung Low gave us in Leeds, which was all planned. So then when we didn't get the funding, we just did it anyway, but we like put some of our money, Ugly Bucket money that we had aside,
that would kind of raise through doing shows.
Yeah,
so
then we did it. Up as a question actually on our little chat has just popped up. I'm just going to read it out. Thank you, Peter, for shouting out, saying, "I'm a great admirer of Ugly Bucket and have followed you guys with interest from your humble beginnings. You must be gutted with all the shows being cancelled." Edinburgh Fringe.
Peter, thank you.
Shout out to Peter, absolutely. And he's just saying, my question
Peter.
is how hard is it to fund your project? So you're talking about the fact that you didn't manage to get funding for Good Grief. I mean, how then did you manage it? Was it, you said you put other money from Ugly Bucket in, but did you approach any other private investors, or did you just kind of do it on a box of a split? I mean, how did you manage it from there?
We got a pot of money from our university. They ran a centre it was Centre for Entrepreneurship scheme for graduates, and if you like applied with, and that's not necessarily for theatre, but it's like a business fund. So we applied with Ugly Bucket Theatre basically as a business, like that we're selling these shows, and so we got like £2,000 from that. So that went towards our funding when we did Boast to You Blues, and we got funding. Two Clowns One Cup we've never had funding for. That's kind of I think Two Clowns One Cup relied on the reputation that we got from Boast to You Blues, and then venues book us and then pay us, so then we can pay for the vans and the rehearsal bits and stuff. But other than that, with that, and then I think it's like, because it's weird because you don't want to recommend to people, like you don't want to be that person that's like work for free, because you shouldn't, but we'd be hypocritical because so much stuff in the past 3 years we do so much
rehearsal was free, and like we'll also do shows like with Two Clowns, because the whole crew and cast is 3 people. We're like, okay, if we do 2 shows, don't pay ourselves, that money then goes back into Ugly Bucket account. Whereas which is not ideal, because then we're not being paid, but it then funds later things.
For me and Adam, who have obviously, like you said, do little bits, it's having faith in the company and what it's going to become, and like being committed to the work, and especially joining it at Good Grief and knowing what that project had come from and what it was going to be made into meant a lot more than the money aspect of things. I think you as a performer, as an artist, need to decide what projects you choose to do and why you choose to do them and what's reasonable for you in ways of resource. And being part of Ugly Bucket and being part of that show was way more important to me than getting money for it.
Yeah, I think money's not the most important thing as well. Like money isn't really that motivating as an artist, like as a creative. Like it's not fun to do something just because there's money there. It's it's a lot more fun just to do it because it's fun and because you want to have fun.
In a working men's club for 2 weeks with 9 people in one room. It's all the fun you need. We had enough money for food and to be safe, and that's all that mattered. We could feed ourselves.
So
not pay us rent, we were fine.
So what for you as a company? I mean, you've done it all. I mean, you've really travelled and you've got a really fantastic following as well. What are you most proud of so far to date? And I mean, I know you've got a huge journey ahead of you. What's been a really great moment?
Most proud of, I think what something that I think we're really proud of is like like Peter was saying when he's like, you know, following you from humble beginnings, and it is humble because it's because we're very much built from nothing. And I think I'm also kind of proud that no one in the company's been to drama school, because I think it's kind of I think people think that you need to go to drama school, and if you don't have that drama school training, that you don't have a place in that industry, and it's just not true.
Whereas I think our big thing is always trying to just do it ourselves. Like when you come out of drama school, you're in the same position as we are now.
Yeah.
Just we haven't been to drama school and got to that level of training or that level of experience, but we've just done everything as we go along and learnt it that way.
That being said, I would have gone to drama school if I got in.
But also,
but
I think a big moment for me was going to the Good Grief when we were running the Good Grief audition, and there were loads of people there. That was big.
That was crazy.
That was nuts. And people had come from all over.
People came from London.
It was incredible. So amazing.
Got on a train and came to Liverpool, which was literally mind-blowing. That was lovely. And I think it is really because when you look at how we started, and it was so sketchy, and we're still working that, we're still trying to
be less
get better. But I think the biggest thing is that we are getting better, and when you look at where we've come in just like a few years, it makes you really excited about everything to come, and how much we've.
Absolutely, my next question of where is next, because I know Good Grief is obviously was going to be at the Fringe, and what's going on there? Because I know it was also covered on BBC Stories, wasn't it? There was a lovely feature of you kind of pottering around in your full clown gear.
Pottering is the right word.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, it's a funny time to ask it, isn't it? Because we had a plan.
We're in uncertain future, I think, uncertain. But not necessarily in a bad way. We're just trying to figure it out. We're very much like, we know that the show is going to happen. It's trying to work out timelines and when.
Yeah,
because I think at the minute our priority is for Good Grief to go on tour.
But
that's the priority. But then it's trying to work out timing, finance, because now that we've got this big team and a big cast, it's not as doable without the funding.
Yeah, which we now can't get because we had a funding application in and we were meant to be developing Good Grief in May to like give it its second development process and improve everything and get it ready to tour. And now that's not happening, and it doesn't look like Arts Council are going to be opening those project grants until like October time. So we can't get funding until November at the latest, which means we don't know what really happens to the tour that is booked for the summer for Good Grief, because I think we're in a position where we're like, if we took it out, it's not the developed show that we want to take on tour, and we're not able to pay anyone. And also, and when we were talking about pay before, we were saying if it was a year, 2 years ago, we probably would have gone, we'll just do it anyone for free. But I think when you, especially building up a company, when you start, you really are like, you say yes to everything and you do as much as you can and you do things for free to get the experience. But then you also, as time goes on and your company starts to grow, you need to
We need to invest more time into it, which then means we don't have the time to do our other jobs, which then means we've got no money. So then as people, we literally need to get something out of this as well as our other jobs.
Yeah, and you've got to know when to start saying no to things if you're not getting paid, which I think we're nearly 3 years old now, and I think we're getting to that point where if we can't pay our team and like a decent wage, then we've got to say no. So I don't know where we are at right now, but I think what we might be looking at is that everything might be shifted into 2021, and we're coming to terms with that. And we're also trying to be like, that's fine, because everyone's in the same boat, and we're not trying to take it as like a failure thing.
It's not our fault the global pandemic happened.
Well, absolutely. And I think
or is it?
Well, the plot twist. I think as well, though, I think you guys are doing a fab thing for putting Two Clowns One Cup on YouTube as well, though, because I think, you know, it's actually one I haven't seen, so I'm really keen to get to catch it. Spoiler, guess who's going to be tuning in?
I think you'll love it, Kate.
It's
You'll love it.
I know.
You're only going to have fun. Don't expect any big meaning. It's only a fun time.
Oh,
No sadness.
But I think it's a really important thing to share, because I think, you know, you're right, it is a massive time of uncertainty for all of the industry, and everyone's kind of plans are now going back a year. But I think you're right in not seeing it as a failure, but just seeing it as some very unforeseen situations, for sure. You mentioned
that we're all in together. Let's all have a chat.
Yeah. I think we were saying there's so much pressure at the moment. It feels like I need to stay off Twitter, because I know that I feel like every time I go on Twitter, it's like there's so many people being like, actually,
we're the most creative.
Do you know what? Thank God for the pandemic, because I'm being so creative. I've never had time to do this creative thing. Look, I've set up this, and it just makes me feel like. But loads of people that I've spoken to have been like, so many people just aren't being creative, and that's fine. That is fine, and like, because it's not normal. So I don't know why we are all trying to
be like
act like everything is normal when it's not.
Yeah, it's not normal. And I think to put that pressure on yourself at a time like this is just not healthy, and it's not good. And I felt the same. I felt really guilty for days where I've just not wanted to, I've had no energy. I felt so lethargic and like I've not wanted to do anything. And then I've done the same. I've gone on social media and felt bad for not baking a cake or not doing all these things or not writing pieces that I'm meant to be doing for ages. And it's like, no, just you need to sort of like listen to your body a little bit at times like this. And if you don't feel like being super creative, that's fine.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think taking time to take stock and just kind of work out where you are, who you are, and not get pressure from other people. Because I totally agree. We were actually having a chat about this with my sister at the minute. We were
Just look
about that earlier.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about jobs and about obviously like funding and the kind of, so do you guys do money jobs as well? Are they in the arts or are they not in the arts? And how do you balance your time? Because I think that's something that a lot of emerging artists kind of struggle to prioritize sometimes in terms of like their projects, and then also putting, you know, food on the table.
Yeah.
I think if you're free, I think one tip that I'd always say is, if you're freelance, I kind of set almost like a year for myself to establish myself as a freelance. So I do tech as well, as directing. So I basically spent like a while doing tech and doing technical work here, there, and everywhere, so that I got that reputation of, she's good, she knows what she's doing. And then that's the point when I then took the step back and then was like, if the work is there, I'll take it. But you do as a freelance anyway. I think everyone else is in very different boats. But from that perspective, once you've got that, you need to give yourself that time. Then you can then go, no, I'm not actually free for those 2 weeks, so no to that job. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. Whereas at first I had this fear that if I ever rejected a job, they'd be like, Rachel doesn't take work. So I kind of committed that time to go, I am free and I am good, there you go. And then I can then go, right, it's Ugly Bucket month this month, where I'm only going to do a tour stuff, directing bits, rehearsals, all that, which is quite nice.
I think flexible jobs are gold dust. I think find flexible work.
Keep it.
Yeah, because also I think sometimes, I do, like, before the lockdown and everything, I have 3 jobs outside of Ugly Bucket. So I do, and I've done hospitality, and I've done all sorts, and I do like drama work. I like run a drama group, like an evening, a disabilities group in Liverpool, and I work in a children's learning centre, reading, like doing like, what's it, like perform reading,
it's very fun.
like it's very children, but the best thing about jobs like that, and especially even things like hospitality, it's like, because it's flexible, it's like, even if you have days where you're like, where it feels like you're not getting anywhere and you're really not asked about that, I'm always like, but it allows me to do the Ugly Bucket side of it, so therefore it's like, it's a lot about balance and giving
time management is really important. Like you said, like finding a flexible job, just keep on to it. I had a job once I left uni, and I've worked for that. It's just a bar and restaurant company, and I've worked for them throughout, because some months I was really lucky before all this happened that I had a tour, only a small Northwest tour with another company that I worked for sometimes, but that was 2 months out of work for me. But the company were like, that's fine, you can have 2 months off and come back when it's done. And I think when you're a performer, having jobs that you can go back to and know you as a person and know how you work is really good, because it just means that, like, now I've been managed to be furloughed by that company, which has helped, like, thank God. But when it comes back to working, I had a month off in Edinburgh because we were meant to go into Edinburgh, but I knew if I'd have a down month, because being a performer, you don't constantly get work. It's really hard. Even if you are freelance, there's times where things go a little bit dry. And I think if you've got somewhere that you can go back to, then it's just perfect, because you know that you're never going to be worried about where your next rent's going to come from. So
yeah. I think that flexibility and just having the options and sort of, it's like fluidity, really. That's kind of how you balance it all, because there's not like, we don't really have 9 to 5s necessarily. Well, Angelina does, but like, it's knowing the priorities too. So I do a bit of teaching for a private company and work in a charity and also in a band. But it's like, you know, different ones will have the priority. You know, it was like I had a gig, you know, a gig that pays really well because it was a wedding, and weddings just pay really well because people throw money at you to play, you know, songs that they would listen to for cheaper, you know, on in a bar on the weekend. And yeah, that was in August, and I just said, like, you just find someone else because I'll be in Edinburgh. So, you know, in that situation, that took the priority, and it's just kind of, it's just taking it week by week and sort of day by day. A lot of the time, it's not necessarily, you know, I can say yes to certain things and no to other things because I genuinely don't know what I'm going to be doing sometimes, like a month from now. Or
exactly. I think what Rachel said about not being afraid to say no to certain things is so important, being an artist and a freelancer. Like, if you don't want to do something, or you'd prefer to do something else in that time, don't be afraid to say no. I know that's something that I should.
Knowing what to walk away from. If you're in a bar job that don't care about you and they'll replace you in 2 seconds,
they don't care. Lots of times,
loads of like waitressing jobs and stuff like that. They're so good for like Jess is in a really good boat, like she said, where she's doing that, and they're really supportive of it. But you see it so many times. We've worked with people in the past that have had these like waiting jobs. They don't care about them. They'd let them go like that because they go, I need 2 weeks off because I've got a show tour, and they go, no, you can't have that. And then they go, sorry, Ugly Bucket, we can't go then. I'm like, you could get another, like, there's other jobs.
Yeah, we've had to have talks as the company started to get bigger and as the calendar started to get really full. We had to really sit down as a company and make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of priority, and knowing that we all work jobs, but we need to know that, you know, if Ugly Bucket got that venue booked us in, we need to know that we'll prioritise that regardless of where, you know, where.
Yeah. And those kind of conversations happened before we cast Good Grief.
Yeah.
So we sat everyone down and said, Good Grief, we could feel that it was going to get big. And we were like, right, is everyone in the same boat? And everyone was like, let me take the time to think about it. And they came back in like 2 days and was like, thought about it. Yes, I'm on board.
Yeah. I think it's important to do that.
It is a big,
but that's where having those conversations and being honest and even like little things like after we had that conversation, then we drafted up a quick contract, which was just like an Ugly Bucket kind of contract, just so that we know that we're all on the same page.
People let us know in advance what they're doing, when they're free, when they're not free, when they've got holidays.
Yeah. And then we have like a timeline of like, it's like if a venue books this far in advance and you haven't told us that you've got a holiday or a booking, then we're allowed to just go yes, because it was for ages. We spent years. It was years of a venue being like, I'd like to book you for this date, and I'd have to go, let me just check with everyone, and then it takes like a week for me to get everybody's timetables back. But now we're in a position where if it's like within a certain amount of time, we're able to just
look at the calendar that exists.
But yeah, communication is massive.
Absolutely. So you're talking, and it's funny because I think you all sound so friendly, but you kind of have moments where you go, as a company, we kind of still decide all of this. So sorry, just again.
No, I was just saying, that's been really weird. Like as like me and Grace, we've always been like, we're always very pally with everyone. Like that's just who we are. Very like woo woo woo. And then you get the odd moment where we go, okay, let me put my formal hat on for a second
Yeah.
and go, we all want the same thing. That's what I think we had to have the discussion, wasn't it? It was like, this feels like a horrible conversation. And I was like, no, but actually the end goal is for everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to another emerging theatre company if they've come from met at uni or met at drama school or met wherever? What would you say to them is in paths that they should look to or ethoses that they should kind of ground themselves to? And as well, if anyone's got any other questions on the chat, now's the time to start typing them because we're going to start thinking about slightly wrapping this up. So any more questions, please drop them down.
My biggest piece of advice, which I say to anyone that's asking about setting up a company, is a lot of the time when people are setting up companies, people worry a lot about the brand and the roles and the logo and the name, and they're like, oh, I'm setting up a company,
and that's the focus, that's what's going on.
Yeah, but I think at NSDF, Alan Lane from Slum Glow, his amazing advice, he's like, the world doesn't need another theatre company. So it's to think of it like that, and to, when you're setting up a company, don't worry about the company, make the show, make the work, do everything that is in your power to make that work that you're passionate about and that message that you want people to hear. Worry about that, because the things like the name, the brand, every market, it all comes. Roles, we still don't really have roles.
We change it every week.
It changes all the time because we just do what we know people are good at. But don't worry about that. Worry about work and worry about the show and put all your effort and passion into that. Because if you make a really banging, amazing show where people can see that you're hungry for this and that you're passionate, then everything else comes with it. That's what Bow Studio Clues felt like. It felt like we made the show and then the company was born out of that. Companies should be born out of shows, I think. That's how I feel about it.
And I think almost on that is also, your first show is not going to be your best show ever in terms of the first showing. Then you develop, then you improve, then you tweak, but just get something out and then get the feedback and then grow, because I think too many people stop at the first hurdle and go, it's rubbish and no one's going to like it and let's leave it then, when actually build on it.
Yeah.
Going off what Grace said as well, is make work that you enjoy. I think I really realised that when we were making good grief, I was like, I've enjoyed this process of making this so much, and the work that's coming out of it, I absolutely love. And I think there's a definite correlation in the process and the work that you're making if you enjoy it. If you want to sit there as an audience member and watch it yourself, that's when you know you're making work that you should be making because you're enjoying it. And I've worked on that show that I just did, I felt exactly the same because I loved the outcome product, the end product. Whereas I've worked on other shows before and I've been like, I don't really like this that much, because I, as an audience member, probably wouldn't have enjoyed that show. So I think it's about deciding what you like, what sort of theatre that you want to be involved in, and then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what Rachel said as well is really be open to feedback and really be open to advice and criticism, and kind of, I think as you go, you figure out, there might be somebody that you absolutely hate and you've never listened to them your whole life, and they might tell you something like really, I don't know, just really shrewd about your show, or maybe actually a good bit of advice, and there might be a really close friend that's always going to say it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. And sometimes you have to turn around and go, no, but there's a lot that I want to improve on. So kind of have your ears open and just be aware that anything can kind of happen and help out.
On that topic of feedback, actually, I've just had a question in from Peter again. Thank you, Peter. Saying,
Peter.
Sorry, I think you've answered this. But on the creative side, how long does it take to write and finely tune a play, like Two Clowns, One Cup? That was the last show I saw. It was brilliant. That was a little bracket. And when do you know it's the right time to take it on tour? So you obviously talked about your research and developing, but how do you, when do you know that you're ready?
It's a good question.
It's strange. I think Two Clowns, One Cup took about 6 months. So did Bow Studio Clues, but that's when you're doing like one night a week.
That's very early days, which I think is most people's situation, especially emerging.
Yeah, and then you get other situations where like Good Grief took 3 weeks, but that was like all day, every day, like nothing but that. So I think it's just dependent. And we've found that the process that we liked way more was doing it all in one chunk, where you don't have to worry about anything else, because when you're trying to make a show alongside stuff, it's hard because you're juggling so much. But with Good Grief, we literally it's like we were in a bubble that was only Good Grief for like 3 weeks.
But also we understand that that's like
not realistic.
That's further along. Early days, like we acknowledge that that's a privilege in terms of, because we've built up that kind of.
And I think in terms of knowing when something's ready to tour, I think so. I don't know. It's like sometimes you know when you need an audience, especially with the work that we do, with the clowning and the comedy. You know when you're ready for an audience, because it gets to a point where you need them there. Yeah. But we make a show, and then we normally show it like once or twice, develop it again, and then tour it. So I think it's good to get it on, get some eyes on it, get some audience response, then look at it again, and with that feedback, and after you've tried, because there's stuff that you might find just doesn't work, film everything, watch it back, have little breaks, and then come back. And then we'd like to develop something twice, and then it tours. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, brilliant. Is there anything about the company that you don't, this is one of my final questions, unless you have any more popping in from social media. Is there anything about the company that you think we don't know? Any kind of hidden things that we might not be aware of, or funny tips, or I don't know, something interesting about the company that people may not know?
I think people won't know that even though me and Rachel run the company together and we went to university together
in the same year,
we weren't friends in university. Not like enemies,
not nemesises kind of thing.
No. But not even any dislike. We're just not mates. And you don't ever really.
It wasn't even a huge year. So we definitely could have been, but it just never happened.
But also it's one of those things where even though we weren't good friends, we were both very aware. I know that Rachel is a hard worker.
And I was the same. It was very much like if we both got into a group with each other.
Yeah, you'd be like this. So you're not mates. But if you're in a group, you're like, okay, I'm in safe hands here.
We always say if we spoke to ourselves in uni and we're like, when you leave, you're going to run a company together. We'd be like, why would we do that?
But yeah, so that's quite funny. And I think that's funny as well for people that are in university, because you think that you'll work with your mates, and then really I think you clock the people that are on it. Yeah. And they're the people that you work with. What else?
Was there anything you were surprised with, Jess and Adam, when you joined?
that the company name didn't mean to have any rude connotations behind it. That you were like, I want to call it something like Ugly Bucket.
Yeah, it was a filler until we found something better, and then we just liked it.
Perfect name. It's perfect.
And now we love it.
Oogie Boogie.
None of us have ever been to Lecoq or Gaulier.
We don't know Gaulier. You know that man? You know that I'm sorry to this man. Have you seen that? I've never seen it. You've seen it, Jeff. I am sorry to this man.
But like in terms of like people in terms of like clown training,
people think we've been to Paris.
Yeah, and we've not. We try and do workshops and stuff, but I think with the whole clowning thing, I think people are surprised that it's something we're still completely trying to learn, and we're still trying to get better at that and learn more about it
and borrow stuff. Because it seems, I don't know, I don't like the idea that like don't do that because that's not the rules.
Yeah,
it's just like that's really funny. Do that.
Yeah, I think we do what makes us feel good, and then we let everyone else decide what it is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people are
that's really funny. Do that.
Yeah, I think we do what makes us feel good, and then we let.
Don't want to put a label on it.
Yeah, it's always got to be a genre.
That's not theatre. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Make it good.
It's a thing on stage that people look at. Maybe not on stage, actually. So there you go.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for absolutely everything. It's been such a great chat, and
thank you.
Is there anything else you want to kind of finish on? Remind me what time it is on Friday for 1, 2, 3.
7
7.
7
It,
on
on all our
Friday.
social media, all of our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it'll be posted on that like just before 7.
But it's going to be up for the whole weekend. So if you're not free then we'll just watch it on YouTube.
If you're doing something else.
Yeah.
But
Why
yeah,
would
that's
you
up
be doing something? Honestly, I mean, I've from kind of half following you guys from NSDF to the Fringe Festival and to hopefully programming you soon in the assembly rooms. Woo! It's been such a pleasure kind of catching up with you guys properly and yeah, just having a
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you,
no,
Kate.
thank you for coming on.
And thank you, Peter.
Thank
yeah,
you, Pete.
top
Thanks,
shout
Peter.
out to our comments. Thank you so much. And I'm going to try and end this, but I'm not entirely sure how. So I'm going to we're doing outro music. We're doing outro music. Outro music.
Or is it going to be wavy? What's the vibe?
I think we're just waving it out.
Waving it out.
Is it stopped on Facebook now? Yeah. No, it says live.
Bye.
Who's in